Okay, let's just dive right into this explainer. Today, we're going to completely dismantle your intuitive understanding of nothingness, literally tear it down and rebuild it from the ground up. We are exploring a seriously fascinating concept that's going to challenge your entire perception of reality. We're looking at absence, but, definitely not as you know it. We're talking about the pressurized infinity. So, what is left when you remove everything? It's a deceptively simple question, right? But it actually exposes the grand, unquestioned flaw of human thought. Just think about it for a second. If I ask you what remains when you take away all the matter, all the light, all the sound, what immediately comes to mind? You probably picture a void, right? Like a blank, empty space. But the seemingly obvious, universally accepted answer, that's exactly where we go off track. Look, it sounds kinda harsh, but it's true. You've been taught wrong. We all naturally assume our human intuition reveals objective truth to us. I mean, because we experience the world a certain way, we just assume, well, that's how the mechanics of the universe must work. But in this case, our intuition is literally just camouflage for a deeply entrenched, totally flawed perspective. We've been looking at reality through this distorted lens for millennia, treating a fundamental misunderstanding as an absolute, unquestionable fact. Section 1. The foundational error. The baseline assumption of existence. So this foundational error isn't just some minor philosophical hiccup. It literally sets the stage for every single subsequent misunderstanding of reality. And it all begins with our baseline assumptions. We instinctively believe empty space is just, what's left when matter is removed. We think darkness is just the residue of extinguished light, and silence is just the vacuum left behind when noise ceases. We're entirely conditioned to define absence purely as the negation or the lack of presence. And by doing this, we strip it of all weight, all pressure, and all agency. We're defining it purely by what it isn't. Section 2. The emptiness trap, confusing the container with the reality. Now that false premise we just talked about, it traps us in a complete conceptual dead end where absence is reduced to this sort of passive ghost. And this brings us to an absolutely crucial distinction. Traditional ontology completely fails because it constantly confuses emptiness with absence. Emptiness is passive. It's just a vacant container, right? A vacuum just waiting to be filled. But true absence is active. It's absolute density under immense internal pressure. It is absolutely not a shadow or some leftover residue. It is a forceful reality all on its own. The source text introduces a specific, super important term for this concept, Mulu. Mulu is the true state of absence. Think of it as an unyielding, pressurized ground that acts completely independently. It possesses its own structure, its own mechanics. It's not just serving as a vacant container for us to walk around in. No way. It is the dominant force of reality. Moving on to Section 3. Absence is absolute density. The arrogance of the inhabitant. This brings up a really fascinating question. If absence is so powerful and so dense, why do we constantly mistake ourselves, the temporary occupants, for the permanent foundation? Well, the text frames it perfectly, saying, the furniture convinces itself the room was built to house it. The ink assumes the page exists solely to bear its marks. We basically get reality entirely backwards, because we are composed of presence. We possess this innate arrogance of the inhabitant, just naturally assuming our existence is the primary objective of the whole universe. So let's break down how this error produces a completely inverted worldview. In our flawed perspective, presence is falsely cast as the primary actor, the objective goal, the celebrated signal. Meanwhile, we just relegate the immense power of absence to the background, dismissing it as mere noise or like a waiting room. But in objective reality, the truth is entirely flipped. Presence is just a localized, fleeting anomaly, while absence is the active, pressurized foundation of the whole shebang. Section 4. The anthropocentric illusion. Dismantling the mythology of human centrality. This single inversion of reality creates some massive philosophical fallout. I mean, by treating absence as a mere waiting room for our existence, we trick ourselves into these comforting but entirely false mythological assumptions. We deeply believe we're the center of the story, we believe existence has this neat little narrative arc built just for us, and that the universe was constructed specifically for our companionship. But really understanding true absence, it completely shatters those anthropocentric myths. To map reality accurately, we really have to unlearn our biases, and the source gives us another vital term here to help us do just that, Susset. Susset is presence. It's what we are,
But crucially, we have to view Susset not as the main event, but as a localized, fleeting exception. It's this incredibly fragile anomaly that is forced to stand upon the immense, pressurized ground of absence, the Mulu.
Which brings us to our final, true, paradigm-shifting realization. Absence was never a void waiting for fulfillment. Actually, scratch that. It's more like absence is the complete, unyielding filler, and presence is merely the localized, temporary leak. It literally flips our entire understanding of reality on its head. So I want to leave you with this thought to ponder today. If the entirety of our existence, everything we know and everything we are, is really nothing more than a fleeting leak within an infinite, pressurized foundation, well, what does that mean for the legacy we leave behind?